Hide over here.
Sorry to disturb the meal of everybody, but we've got a pretty extensive program, so we want to make sure we give them plenty of time. I appreciate everybody coming. Tom, we're going to start with a song that you're going to sing.
Okay.
Along with everybody else, except for
Thank you.
And Paul Walters will have the pledge. And I've invited my pastor to preach to prayer today. So he's going to
Preach, all right. Take up an offering. God bless America. God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the to the oceans, bright with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
face the flag.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Gracious God, we give you thanks for the blessings of this day and this food that has been provided for us. We ask a blessing upon those who have prepared it and served us. And Lord, as always, we just want to lift up the children and the youth of our communities. We pray for their safety. And let us remember as we enjoy this food that there are some who are challenged today to find a meal the size we're eating. And I just pray, Lord, that we would do what we could to alleviate these issues with our young people. Be with us now, we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much. So just a couple of things before we get started. Dr. Seuss, of course, is this Saturday the 2nd. I think we've got pretty good sign-ups, Kay?
Yeah, we've got several signed up, but if anybody needs to after Kiwanis today, just let me know. And you need to be there at 9 to 11 or 11 to 1.
11 to 1, correct. And you got something else you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah.
I sort of knew that.
Yes, please, thank you. I'm just doing it.
On Tuesday, we have our first public speech contest, and we're at Cleveland State, and we'll be in the Humanities Building, which is a large building right behind the gymnasium.
And that's all the way through the finals, isn't it?
That's the finals. Well, we're getting ready.
Right, right.
And then 2 weeks later, we'll have more sub-county and then the county finals. So,
right.
And they're all at Cleveland State now. We thought we were going to be at the Pie Center, but they've changed us, so we're at the Cleveland State for all of them now.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. And then the big thing, we'll talk more about it later, is our big RAM clinic coming up. That's the remote area medical clinic, and it'll be at North Cleveland Church of God. And so we'll be talking more about it as we get a little closer, because we'll be having our meeting there on Thursday to help set up and get ready for all the events of that occasion.
Right.
So
sounds good.
we're expecting lots and lots of people.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's
Yeah.
for sure. We are the official sponsor for the RAM Clinic this year, so we need all the help from the members we can get. That'll help a great deal. Thank you so much. Thanks, Kay. Thank you to all of our guests. I would name you individually, but I don't know any of you, hardly. And you outnumber our members, so I'm not going to start there. But for the members that are here, our new software is in place. It's called Member Day. I need for everybody to get online, create a profile. I sent an email out, I don't know, a couple days ago, giving you instructions on exactly how to get on and log your profile. And that gives us the opportunity, number one, for billing dues, and number two, for communicating with everybody. So please try to get that done as quickly as you can. It's called Member Day. Go to memberday.com and just go to log in, and it'll create your profile as you do for yourself and your password. Okay.
The other thing is, since we have a lot of new people here today, if anybody wants to receive our Kiwanis newsletter each month, we need you to put your name and an email address, so I'll have this ready for y'all after the meeting.
Okay.
So,
Sounds
How about an
good.
application for membership too?
Right, Jeff. That's perfect. We've got some possibilities here for sure. Our Lieutenant Governor, James Hobbs, is here. We're glad he's available for us today, and he's brought to you. We're glad to have you. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Bob. Wait a minute, Bob?
Mr. Kiwanis.
Oh, okay, Mr. Kiwani, my fault, my fault.
Okay. Well, you pastor from Wesley.
Oh, way to go, Josh. It's a $20 gift certificate to Publix. That's for you and your foster kids and your real kids. Thanks so much. Okay, Bubba, I'm going to turn it over to you for our guests.
A quick commercial before we get started. The Ram Clinic is on the 22nd, 23rd of March. We need volunteers. We need dentists. We need dental hygienists. We need vision care people. So if anybody has any questions about the Ram Clinic, you just come see me right after the meeting, and we'll get you set up. Okay? We're so pleased to have so many people here. We did not expect this to go over this well, but I talked to Chuck just a few weeks ago, and I said, we got to share this. And I saw Robert's videos that he put out, somebody put out for us, like 2.5 minutes long. I said, Chuck, we got to share this. Yeah. And he was deep agreement. And so we're just so happy to have Agent Robert Burkall from the Internet Crime Against Children Task Force to share with us today. Let's give him a nice one.
Thank you. Again, my name is Rob Burkhart. I'm going to wander because I hate standing on the spot. I'm an Assistant Special Agent in charge of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force within the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. And then we have Agent Tom Washington. He's with human trafficking with TBI too. We each could probably talk for about 8 hours total on these topics, but we got to condense it in like 30 minutes. So we agreed that I'll just do my little spiel in 30 minutes, condensed version. And then afterwards, Tom will talk about the human trafficking aspect in Tennessee. And then we'll do questions after, okay? I've been investigating crimes against children for about 7 years now. I'm out of the Nashville office. There's 4 other agents that work for us, and we cover the entire state. I will have to say that this is a very heavy topic. I don't like to sugarcoat. I'll tell you how it is. We'll start with some stats, and then we'll go all the way behind the scenes. I'll open up the curtain to kind of give you a real live look at what's actually going on involving our kids and the internet, all the way to the dark web. One of the most important things when I give these presentations to especially parents is I do come here as obviously a law enforcement official that investigates these crimes all day, every day. But most importantly, I come here as a parent. I have a 11 and a 6-year-old boy. I'm still trying to figure out this whole how to raise kids with the internet. There isn't a brochure, there isn't pamphlets out there on how to do it successfully. So I'm in the same boat. I'm learning. So hopefully maybe one thing you can take away that you can share with your family at home or other people that you know that have kids. So anybody hear about ICAC, the Internet Crimes Against Children? It's a national program throughout the whole U.S. There's 61 ICAC commanders throughout the whole U.S. So all those dots represent an ICAC commander. Some states have more than one just because of the sheer size. For Tennessee, the ICAC commander is actually Knoxville Police Department. Tennessee, or TBI, is just one of the 58 affiliates throughout Tennessee that investigate internet crimes against children. All those stars represent one of the affiliates within Tennessee. All the areas between all the stars, TBI has to cover. So if you do the math, 4 agents, that's a lot of area to cover. We just need more people. So. And education, we will not arrest our way out of this crime. Law enforcement cannot solve this. It's going to come up to the parents, community, schools, and just straight up education, just like this. We go around the entire state. We present to parents, schools, any age group, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, churches, anybody that requests it, we'll give this presentation, because education is what's going to help spread the message and hopefully stop these crimes from occurring that impact our children every second of the day. So NCMEC, anybody here the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children? Their organization, Angels That Walk Among Us, they're out of Virginia. They're the clearinghouse for all the child sexual abuse material out there in the world. They also provide ICAC task force with cyber tips. So cyber tips are generated by either a community member like you, go on NCMEC's website and submit a cyber tip, or social media companies have algorithms on their servers that are looking for known child sexual abuse material, chats between adults and children. And then once they find that, they take that account, they flag it, they report it to NCMEC. NCMEC then creates a cyber tip, and then that gets sent out to the appropriate law enforcement agency where the victim or the child or the subject is located. That's the amount of cyber tips that Tennessee received last year. Some might just see it as a number, but that's over almost 15,000 either subjects and or victims that are being sexually exploited online in the state of Tennessee alone. All of those pretty much are cases that need to be worked. A door needs to be kicked down and somebody needs to go to jail, or a victim needs to be saved and identified. Tennessee ranks probably middle in the U.S. With the amount of cyber tips that we received. Obviously, New York, California, theirs are probably triple that number. But that number will just keep rising every year. As you can see there, in 2018, we were not even close to 5,000. And then just last year alone, we were almost to 15,000. And I can tell you now, this year alone, we'll easily be close to probably almost 20,000 in 2024. So that number is just going up. I like putting this pie graph. This is just the cyber tips that TBI received in 2022. It kind of just shows you the social media companies that are reporting. Obviously, Google, Snapchat, Discord are some of the big ones. But anybody here use Pinterest, right? You decorate your house and get ideas. So they report cyber tips to NCMEC because people are sexually exploiting children on Pinterest platforms. So these predators know where your kids are, and they know every app that they can use to trade child sexual abuse material or receive it. So any platform that touches the internet, they can easily exploit children with. So reporting, that's their website, missingkids.org. If you go on the bottom, submit cyber tip. Anybody can submit a cyber tip. Say you maybe have a friend, a family friend that's child is talking to a stranger online. You can report that cyber tip. I actually encourage that because if you supply the cyber tip with maybe bad guy's username, victim's username, NCMEC can then search through their entire database and see if that guy is also victimizing other children throughout the world. And then those will get sent to the appropriate law enforcement. So this is kids' technology today. Obviously, ours was a lot different. I grew up in the era, I'm 40, so I was right before the internet, / dial-up. So in the AOL Instant Messenger, getting those AOL discs in the mail to get online. But now our kids, we all use it. The click of the finger, you can access anything in the world. It's easy, it's smaller, it's faster. But the one thing that I want to talk about is that little thing up in the upper left hand corner.
Long ago, the Greeks and the Trojans were at war. They fought for 10 years, but the Greeks could not penetrate the walls protecting the city of Troy. So they built a wooden horse, a horse so big they could hide their soldiers inside. They left it in front of Troy. A symbol of peace, the Trojans cheered as they brought the horse into their city. In the night, while they danced and drank, the Greeks climbed out of the horse and opened the gates. And in came all the soldiers.
So the average age in the US of a child that has a cell phone is age 10. So this little device is, the computer power on this is more powerful than the first Apollo 11 that orbited the moon. All the Apollo 11s, their computer power, this is more powerful than that, right? And we all carry it every day in our pocket. Our kids now are carrying it and using it. But at any single day, this device can connect to 8 billion people in the world. And what's even scarier is that 8 billion people now have access to your child at any time. The cell phone, I know some of us, even I'm guilty, you need that quick 15 minutes of like your time. So it's easy just to give a kid, cell phone, tablet. It's like, just go, just, get out of my hair, just, do what you do. But it's a tool, right? We don't give 10-year-olds cars or keys to cars and say, hey, go to the store, go get mom and dad some milk or something. Because there's laws, in society, that's just weird. We don't accept that, right? But in a sense, we're giving our kids a tool that is almost as dangerous as a car. The things that we see and deal with every day, now it's schools, kids taking cell phones, taking pictures of each other naked over the bathroom stalls, sending it to all the kids. Happens every day. Every case that we deal with a victim most likely happens in a bedroom or a bathroom. The youngest that I've had was a 4-year-old who was groomed online by an adult male out in Utah, where she went into the bathroom and he was telling her exactly what to do and video it and then posted it on her mom's YouTube channel so the guy could access it. So all the way to 4-year-olds, like they know, they understand, they see us, they swipe. You give a phone to a baby, I bet you they already know how to start swiping and stuff. It's just part of society now. These are just some of the threats that our kids fall victim to. I'll just talk about a couple of them. And the first is sexual exploitation. So what is sexual exploitation? It's any nude or sexual photograph of a child under the age of 18. It's known as child pornography, but we are actually trying to get rid of that word.
I got one of those, long years,
The what?
United States Navy.
Okay. Yep. So pornography, what's pornography? It's $1 billion business, right? And it's consensual between two adults. That's what pornography is. When you add the word child to it, what does that sound like? It sounds like a child is consenting to rape, right? We need to call it what it is. It is rape of children, all the way from infants to toddlers. It's the rape of a child, and that person is videotaping and recording that moment of that child's worst time in their life, and then it'll be shared on the internet, and once it's on the internet, it's shared forever. I know within our community, there's actually series of children that are being abused. They're usually assigned a series, and the predators know what those series are. And it's gotten so bad where some of these child victims grow up. Maybe their video was posted back when they're 4 years old. I know of one victim now who's 40 now. She's probably one of the most popular series in the predators community. And people actually know and seek her out. And she was actually in a grocery store with her baby, and a gentleman came up and said, "Hey, aren't you that girl in that video?" I mean, that's, over 25 years. That's what these people do. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. And that's what that crime is, this sexual exploitation. So every time people are sharing these photographs and videos of these children, every time that video is shared, that child is being re-victimized over and over and over forever. Even after they're dead, it'll be shared forever. So online enticement grooming. What is the one way that predators, I guess, access our kids? What's the one thing they need? They need to communicate, right? This happens all the time. Whenever I do undercover chats, when I pose as a child online, I'll go in and these guys just instantly start grooming you. It gets really bad where they start, figuring out where you go to school, and that's easy. You could take any school here. I'm sure they have a Facebook page. You go on that Facebook page, see who likes it. I'm sure a lot of parents like it. You click on that parent's profile, and then all of a sudden, you got access to figure out what kids they have. And then these guys can use those photos to make their own persona as a child, and then start reaching out and talking to our kids, posing as somebody their age. So if you got a 13-year-old girl, all of a sudden a 15-year-old boy starts talking to her, same interests. They already know what they're doing online, like what they do at school, if they're on soccer, what the school colors are. They already have that all planned, so it's easy to groom. I know on the dark web, there's actually brochures and pamphlets teaching predators, every different age groups, of how to communicate and talk to children and groom and get them to either come meet you or send explicit photographs of themselves. Anybody recognize her? How old do you think she is? 6, 8, 10? Anybody recognize him? So that's me on the left.
She's aged poorly.
So with a click of a button on a free app, I took that photograph and created her. If I do that in my undercover investigations, what do you think the bad guys are doing? The same exact thing, right? Which is why we'll talk to sextortion. Anybody here of sextortion? It's a growing pandemic within our kids. It's happening a lot between boys age 15 to 17, but it happens to adults, financial sextortion, and also girls. The way it starts is, say I'm a bad guy, and I take that photograph of me as a child, right? All of a sudden, I reach out and I find, maybe I find a 15-year-old male on Instagram. Send him a message using that photograph. Hey, that's usually what happens. So what do you think a 15-year-old does when a cute girl, reaches out to him? Oh, hey, communication starts. So once the communication starts, what that bad guy is doing is he's going to start jumping that kid on different platforms. And each platform that he jumps to, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, wherever, Snapchat, they're looking and finding all of their friends' lists, like names addresses. And then once the conversations, this is usually about a 6 to 8 hour crime. Conversation turns sexual, and then they end up sending our victim maybe a nude photograph of a nude 13-year-old that they actually got from another victim and said, hey, here's my picture. What do you look like? And then that kid goes in the bathroom, takes that nude photograph, sends it. The second later, as soon as they send that photograph, the conversation switches to, hey, I know exactly what you do on the internet, and here's a list of all your teachers, friends, pastors, parents, email addresses, phone numbers. If you don't send me more photographs or gift cards or money, I'm going to send it to them, and they'll know exactly what you do on the internet. So take yourself back to a 15-year-old. Would you run to your parents and tell them what you just did on the internet? Probably not, right? So the crime keeps occurring. So they keep taking more nude photographs, and now these people pretty much own you. It's getting so bad to the point where these kids feel trapped. They don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. And now they're committing suicide. And that's, obviously nobody wants that. So that's how bad these crimes are getting. This is an actual example of a case out near Cheatham County. It was a 13-year-old girl. It was about 2 in the morning. Super nice family, wealthy, Christian, everything. She was talking to somebody online who she thought was another girl her age who wasn't accepting of her body. She thought she was overweight, and our victim thought so too. So conversation started. Bad guy said, well, here's a picture of me. So they send a picture of another 13-year-old. So our victim is like, okay, well, here's me. And she sends a photograph of herself. As soon as that happened, this is the actual chats. You can see how violent and everything it is. So what this girl did was she was actually brave. She ran down the hallway, woke her parents up. Once her mom kind of woke up, figured out what was going on, got her phone, saw what was going on, and Mama Bear kicked in and started texting. Well, this guy was so brazen that he said, okay, well, if you don't take a nude photograph of yourself, then I'm going to send your daughter's pictures to all their friends. Luckily, law enforcement got involved, and they ended up arresting this guy. He was actually a LSU student going in for law down at LSU, and his father was like a very high prominent a lawyer like within the area. And I believe he had maybe 14 other victims that he was doing that to. So online gaming. Anybody's kid plays online gaming? My kid just started playing Fortnite. The biggest thing with online gaming is they're fine. You just got to take away that communication, right? They can play games, but it's that communication is where they reach out and they start grooming our children. And the way that I like to put it is when we all grew up, we used to ride our bikes everywhere. We walked down the school. You had to look for 2 things. You had to look for the creepy van or that guy wearing the tan jacket that just creeped everybody out, right? Those are the 2 things that we looked for, and we were outside playing all day, every day, and so our spidey senses were very high, and when we saw something that looked weird or scared, our senses would know and run away. Well, we tell our kids, don't talk to strangers online, don't do all this stuff. So that's great. They start playing online, right? They're strangers. But the more our kids are playing with these guys, the screen name Steve 7 is maybe a stranger at first, but Steve 7 is really good at Roblox. And he's teaching me all these different things. He's maybe sending me gift cards, all this stuff. Now, to us, it's a stranger because we've never met him. But to our kids, that stranger, now they're becoming the friend, right? All because they have something in common with this person they don't even know on the other end. So that's just the hard way that we got to teach with our kids. One thing with this is headphones. I never allow my kids using headphones playing games because I want to know what they're actually chatting and talking about. There's a lot of these games where you can talk. You might not be able to chat, but you can actually speak and talk to each other. So Vault apps, I'll just talk quick. There's apps out there. You might ask your kid, let me see your cell phone. You type in whatever the password they tell you, and you open it up and there's puppies and kittens all over. And you're like, yes, I'm doing good, my kid is good, he's an angel on the internet. And then you give it back to him, and then he types in the real password, and then the real phone opens up. There's calculator apps where you type in a code number, and that's a vault. You can store pictures, videos. A lot of the bad guys that we get, they have these apps. So cell phones, every cell phone comes with at least one calculator app. If your kid has two, you should start questioning. All right, the dark web. Anybody hear the dark web? How do you get on the dark web? The dark web is super easy. You could probably get on it right now in like 30 seconds. All you gotta do is go to Google, type in Tor, T-O-R, and just download the browser, and that'll open up. And then welcome to the dark web. You're on the dark web. You can actually you can check Facebook, you can do banking, you can do all the normal stuff on the internet, like using the dark web browser. This is kind of like a Google Chrome, Firefox. It's just a browser that connects you to a different platform known as the dark web. And then within this, you finagle and you can get into anything bad your mind can think of is on the dark web that you can access to. These are actual child exploitation websites on the dark web. And the one that I want to talk about is this Child's Play. This is the largest child exploitation website in the world. There's over 1 million users, and every 30 days, to stay a member, you have to provide the administrators brand new child exploitation material, meaning they have to go out and actually create this material and then send it to the admins to stay on this forum dark website. These were the two administrators behind this website. The guy on the left went as warhead on the dark web. His name was Benjamin Faulkner. And then Crazy Monk, Patrick Falte. Anybody know where Benjamin Faulkner lived or from? He was from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And then anybody know where Patrick Falte lived? He was from Franklin, Tennessee, just 27 miles south of Nashville, running the largest dark web site in the world that exploit children online. And the actual agent that arrested him lived about a half a mile from his house. So
they're in prison right now?
they are.
How long did they get for, how long did they wind up in prison? Long enough.
Yeah, I believe they got life. Mm-hmm.
Good. That was not enough.
Outside of the nearly 15,000 tips that you get, what other opportunities do you have to find the bad guys?
We like to do a lot of proactive, so that's like undercover peer-to-peer network, double list, Craigslist ads. Those are the ways to get it, but the amount of cyber tips that we get, that's most of your time spent. So we would love to do more undercover chats, but.
Sure.
So 13, the U.S. General even says is too young for social media. These are just some of the apps that kids just need to be careful, and parents, if you see it. I'm kind of running out of time to tell the one story, Tom, sorry, but. Okay. Tom will talk about Omegle. If we thought talking to strangers is bad, Omegle is video to video, just random strangers. I did have a case that I would talk about, but I don't know, Tom might mention it because he liked the story. But and that was a little bit more. I can pull these up later too if you need. And these are just some, right? Just know that you'll never be smarter than your kids when it comes to apps and social media because they're on it all the time. Just the biggest thing is just know what they do. If your kid wants to download something, download it on your phone or sit down with them and figure out what it does. The biggest thing is, can you chat? You know, is there video? Those are the things that you want to look for. And then this is the next big crime that we're starting to see more is AI, right? We've all heard of Taylor Swift, but it goes way past Taylor Swift. Just remember, we might think of that our kids, you know, our kids need to be safer, our kids need to be safer online. It's also parents, like we're guilty. We post everything online too. So my life is probably from my freshman year in college when Facebook came out, all the way through now is probably on the internet, right? It's documented because I post it or my friends tag me in a post. But for our kids, it was pretty much the day that they were born through now because we, as parents, are proud of that moment. So we post that moment on Facebook or Instagram or wherever to show our friends, right? We're not thinking about the bad people that can get access to that. So just know whatever you post on the internet is there forever, and anybody can access it if they want or find it. So I'll just leave you with this.
Hey, Mom. Hey, Dad. It's me, Ella. Well, a digital version of me. Just a bit older. Amazing what technology can do these days, isn't it? All you need are a couple of pictures, like the ones you share on social media, where they can be taken and used by everybody. I know for you these pictures are just memories, but for others, they are data. And for me, maybe the beginning of a horrible future. A future where my identity was stolen, where I could go to prison for things that I would never do. Imagine my credit score being destroyed, Dad. Or my voice copied to scam you, Mom. I need you to send me money, please. I don't want to become a meme, humiliated by everyone at school. And I certainly don't want this. What you share online is like a digital footprint that will follow me around for the rest of my life. I'm telling you this because I know you love me and would never do anything to harm me. So please, Mom, please, Dad, protect my virtual privacy.
So we're all guilty. I'm guilty of it too. But just think, maybe next time you post. I know there are apps out there and websites where you can actually take any photograph of anybody, doesn't matter child or anything, upload it, and with a click of a button, you can turn that image and turn that person nude. And then you can take that and share it. It's their actual face, but now their body is nude using AI technology. So is your child a victim? These are just some things to look for. The biggest thing is the change in social media or a change in social behavior. If my son all of a sudden doesn't want anything to do with his iPad, like I'm going to start questioning why, because you can't even, it's hard just to try to take it away from So just keep those things in mind. If they are a victim, as a parent, I mean, it's hard, but don't panic. Have a conversation, take the device away immediately. Do not respond to the person, take screenshots, and contact law enforcement, and definitely report it to NCMEC. I can't stress that enough. These are my rules that I have in my house, so I figured I might as well just share them because this is what I try to live by. No phone or device allowed in the bedroom or bathroom. After dinner, they know no electronic devices are allowed. So when they come home from school, they have that hour or two where they can, do whatever they want. Well, not everything, but after dinner, they know not even to ask. And then they have to do everything in the living room where parents and people are around, and then just know what the apps that they're using are doing. And the biggest thing here is the social media companies know exactly what your kids do on the internet, so why can't you as a parent? So take that device away randomly and just look at it. They might be upset with you, but who cares, right? We're the parents, we own that device. We just want to make sure they're safe, because the last thing that we want our kids to lose is their innocence. As soon as they lose that innocence, it's gone forever. And then 2 of my rules that I try to tell kids is never talk to somebody that you've never met in person, and then don't send anything that you wouldn't send to your mom or your grandmother. And that little sheet that I passed around, this is a thing that Meta, Facebook, is actually funding with NCMEC. It's called Take It Down. If there's a child out there that's maybe afraid of that nude image that they maybe shared with a friend, they can scan that QR code and they answer 3 simple questions, and then they select the image or video that they're afraid of or concerned with, and then NCMEC sucks the hash value out of that picture. The picture or video never leaves the device. They just suck that hash value out, and then it searches it through all of the major social media websites out there. If they find that on the platform, then it's flagged, and then that social media company will hopefully take it down. Just some resources. They have PowerPoints, presentations, brochures, anything you can imagine for every single age range for internet safety regarding our kids. And then that's my contact. And I know Tom's going to jump into some human trafficking stuff, and then we can answer questions later or now if anybody has burning questions.
Apps like Bark, people ask us about that, things like that. Seeing success with those, or missing a lot of things?
Yeah, so I just ran into that problem with my son now he wants to do middle school soccer. And I was like, well, I guess he needs a cell phone, but only a texting cell phone or call, like no social media. So I was personally looking at stuff like Bark, and I think that's one of the best I've found. I can't really say like which one as a state entity. I can't say what to buy, but I do say that there is a case with Life360 where the girl shared her account with the bad guy. The bad guy had his own Life360 account and was able to track her every move and figured out exactly where she lived. So, yep.
So personally, our boy is 14 years old. He goes to Lake Forest. 7th grade, he's in 8th grade. 7th grade year, first half of the year, he had straight A's. Okay, which he's selling to him. We gave him a smartphone at Christmas. From the time we gave him that smartphone until this Christmas, the whole year, 2 semesters, we noticed his grades decline, and I noticed some other areas of concern. So we removed the smartphone, and he has just a regular cell phone that he can text and call from. The grades have improved. The way that he speaks with us has improved. I'm not fearful of cyberbullying. I know he can get, we're not worried about any of those. I mean, it's made a huge impact. Seeing this is just like I'm going to reiterate to him, this is why.
Yeah.
And we told him, now his grades, he's a 3.8, he's 1 away from being a straight A. He's talking about once he get a smartphone back. I said, no. You had it for a year, you showed us
That's awesome.
So now, it's gonna be 8.
I mean, that's my rule. Like, my kid can have a phone, but it's going to be a flip phone, like a jitterbug or something. But
Gab phone is a really good one.
Gab, yep.
You can't get social media on it.
Yep.
Gab? G-A-B-B?
It's just like I find myself right on using my phone a lot. Like, you get sucked in those stupid videos. But I'm 40. But picture like a 13-year-old. I mean, that's
They get lost in that world, and they
yeah.
do this, and it takes a village, right? Well, we can't control who's in that village. That's the concept that we told him. They're teaching you things, or you're seeing things that in that household it might be okay, but in ours it's not.
Yep.
And he sees that as being normal, calling me bro. I'm like, I'm not you, bro.
Yeah, just I mean, kids are smart, right? You take all their devices at home. Where do you think they're gonna go to their buddy at school and do the same thing? So.
But at least it's
Right.
still somewhat monitored.
Yep. Did you need that? Or?
Once we can access the PowerPoint later to get all the...
I can send a edited version to Bubba or Chuck, and then he can send it. It's a very edited. I don't like to send a lot of it just because of some of the case stuff and everything, but.
How would we be able to educate just that commercial alone could be put in the movie theater when you're going to the movies, or Super Bowl halftime, or something like that, just to be...
I wish that, yeah. I question that all the time. Like, why isn't there more commercials on this? Like, you still see like anti-smoking commercials, or all this stuff is like, why can't there be an exploitation, PSA? But that's gonna have to come from like a private company or entity or something.
Afternoon.
Oh yeah.
I am Tom Washington with TBI with the Human Trafficking. Is it on?
Yeah, you're done. You're started. There, thank you.
One thing that we do want to talk about, let me see if it gets working. Where do I point this at? There we go. We talk about sex, labor, trafficking. We don't try to hide it. So we want to make sure that everyone reads this and understand that we're not trying to curtail anything. We're just going to give it to you like it is. We're all adults in here, so we kind of go from that. I'm used to teaching the cadets at the police academy, so if I raise my voice a little bit too much, I forget where I'm at, all right? Sometimes I yell. But which one of these movies is about human trafficking? Tangled? Yes. You ever watch Tangled? Yes. It's good, isn't it? We'll talk about that. Let me see if this will play.
When you work in the service industry, you see a lot of homes in all sorts of areas.
Oh.
You meet a lot of people, and even pets.
Oh, yeah. Here we go.
Out here, you have to take your job seriously. In the service industry.
There we go. I apologize.
Homes in all sorts of areas. You meet a lot of people, and even pets. Out here, you have to take your job seriously. And always be on the lookout to find better ways to
What'd you see? Did you see it?
Boy in the window, the man, the dad in the window with the daughter.
You're just taking it all. The whole point of this is this video. Human trafficking happens right in front of us. We're talking about the oldest profession in the world when it comes to sex and labor trafficking.
So I have your attention.
Workers who are in
Little girl in the window.
day-to-day basis are a critical part of identifying potential cases of human trafficking and combating this horrific crime.
Get into the van. Bars on the window. That could be in your neighborhood. Little kid in the window. Sign in, sign out. The lock on the door. Is that her dad? Is that her family member?
When you know it's
One thing about human trafficking, you have to think outside the box of what it actually is. So is it getting worse? You think is it get why? Opportunity. There's a lot more opportunities out there. So why are the numbers going up? You think the numbers are going up, and why? Well, one reason that we think the numbers are going up because we're out here teaching everyone what human trafficking is, what to look for, and how to react when you see it. So the more people we teach about human trafficking, the more that you are aware about this, the more you can address it. The TBI, we are the unit that handles human trafficking. We cannot do this without the NGOs in our area. We get with DCS. They're our partners in this thing. They have a human trafficking investigator that goes out with us. There are 9 agents across the state of Tennessee. There are 2 senior special agents in ASAC in Nashville. I myself cover East Tennessee, which is 25 counties, and I also cover West Tennessee. So we're talking about 50-something counties that I have to be focused on, dealing with sex and labor trafficking. So some of the myths that you see that sometimes the traffickers don't want to be saved, right? Because lots of times we're dealing with prostitutes. You call them prostitutes, right? Those are victims out there. 12% of our tips are coming from boys nowadays. Just like Rob was talking about, that internet, playing games and the apps. One story I always like to tell from Rob's division. Picture this. You have a high school girl. She's on the computer in her room. She's a cheerleader, very popular at her school. She's on a website where men masturbate. She's swiping left, she's swiping right. All of a sudden, she has a slumber party. More girls come into the picture. She shows the girls what's going on on that website. But what she doesn't realize, what's behind that camera. There's a person out there videoing them. There's a fetish out there that likes girls that laugh. There's also another guy out there that's looking behind that camera, taking pictures. Now, what's behind that girl that's in that room? She's a cheerleader, very popular. What's behind that girl in her room? Awards? Something to identify her, where she goes to school. And Rob, the guy was on his route to kidnap that girl at the high school?
He was actually at the school.
At the school. So sometimes the victims that we come across, they don't want to get help. We've already talked about this. Rapunzel. Rapunzel has more to do with human trafficking than these shows like Taken. Think about Rapunzel. In the cartoon Taken, she's kidnapped as a baby. She's used for her hair to make the witch younger. And when she finally escapes, She feels guilty the whole time she's out and about. But she's having a great time, but she feels guilty. And that's the mindset that we have to deal with in dealing with the victims of human trafficking, whether they are being prostituted out or they're being forced to do sex or labor. You ever seen this show on Netflix? This is a good show. This is a good representation of what human trafficking is. I won't tell you the whole story, but that's not his daughter. And look how young that girl is. So what is human trafficking in the state of Tennessee? Now, when you look at this law, the legislators, they took the time to get every avenue, if you take a person to have sex at a commercial, at a hotel or something, we're going to arrest you. So let me read it to you. The act of recruiting, enticing, harboring. If you put a person up in apartments or you house them for some reason, and then you commercial sex them or labor them, the legislators were thinking really good when they wrote this. Transporting, you take that person to the hotel. Providing them clothes, lube, anything that would assist them in that crime. Obtaining advertising, there's a lot of websites on the web right now that makes over $10 billion right now. Maintaining, patronizing. If you maintain a site that allows human trafficking, we get you too. Soliciting any person with knowledge or reckless disregard by means of force, fraud, or coercion. To control victims for the purpose of engaging in commercial sex. Now, here's the deal with this law. It says commercial sex. If you have a stepfather that's having sex with their daughter or stepdaughter, that's incest, that's rape by authority figure. Now, when you have that stepfather selling that little girl to her friend, that friend pays the stepfather, that's where the human trafficking commercial comes into play, okay? Now, if you guys have questions as I talk, this class right here is a little bit over an hour, so I'm not going to go through every slide. Yes?
Do you find that victims become perpetrators?
Yes, and we'll talk about that. Well, I'll go ahead. In the pimp organization, you have the pimp, and then you have the bottom girl. They basically call them the bottom B. Now, the bottom girl, she works her way up through that organization. She is a sex worker, and she has to go through all that to become the bottom girl. I have a juvenile I've been tracking since she was 14. She's 15 now. She's a bottom girl. What she does, she runs away from wherever. She goes to the DCS facility in, let's say, 3rd Street in Chattanooga. She befriends a girl or a guy. She runs away with them. That person ends up either getting raped or something happens to them, or they get into the life. Now, with that 14-year-old, 15 right now, I have 3 cases with her. She's a juvenile, so there's not much I can do with her. But there's an organization. She's 15, and she's already a bottom girl. Think about that. So what does it take for a commercial sex act? Anything of value. That can be clothes, money, food, anything that person thinks is valuable to them. There's a girl that's from Hamilton County. She ended up on an op in Nashville. The way they enticed her to go to Nashville, and thank God she ended up on one of our ops, she wanted to ride an escalator at the mall. That's all it took to get that little girl to go to Nashville. These are some of the examples of commercial sex. Now, a person has to be paid in order for that commercial sex to be applied. Some types of force. Fraud. As you can see, that escalator is up there. That's just a reminder for me to tell that story. But one of these fraud that you see a lot of this in high school and college. The boyfriending. If you love me, you would do this. Now, don't think it just applies to girls. This applies to both sexes. If you love me, you would do this. And coercion, of course. Physical harm, financial, psychological, reputational. You see that, once again, you see that in high school, in college. If you don't do this, I'm going to ruin your reputation. I'm going to tell your parents about this. Everybody's going to know what you've done. Definition of human trafficking. When you're above the age of 18, you do not have, the force, fraud, and coercion has to be applied. Okay? In the criminal element, when you're above 18, force, fraud, and coercion has to be applied. When you're under 18, it does not. When it's commercial sex. And of course, anyone under the age of 18 is considered a victim. There was a study done back in 2010 where Vanderbilt and TBI got together. What they did, they sent a questionnaire out to all the 95 counties, all the law enforcement, and they asked them, what do you consider human trafficking? Do you have human trafficking in your area? And basically what this says, Bradley County. Let me see if I can find Bradley County. Right there. You're in the blue. 6 to 15 cases back then. There's another study right now. It just came out. Bradley County got a 95% that you're more likely to have human trafficking here in your county. Just go ahead and pass this around. And also, there's a QR code on this. Put your phone to it. It shows all the counties in the state of Tennessee. If you don't live in Bradley County, it shows that county. So go ahead and check that out. But this right here is just for minors. And of course, you have adults. All 95 counties were affected. So when people say they don't know what human trafficking, let me correct myself. Human trafficking does not happen in their neighborhood. I can tell you, if you know the school system in Hamilton County, think of Lookout Mountain, Signa Mountain, Red Bank, Ooltewah, East Hamilton, Tyner, Howard. We know the school systems here in Hamilton County or over in Hamilton County. I can tell you I have a case in each one. So don't think just because the social economic, you're not going to be affected. A lot of people like to ask, where does it happen? It happens everywhere. There's going to be a child, a family member that's going to want something or need something more than what they have. And there's always going to be a person right there, unfortunately, to give them the stuff that they really don't need. We were on Tuesday. A girl was at the gas station. She had no place to go. And sure enough, there was a person there that swooped her up, and then she got into the sex act. We responded to her ad, sent an undercover in, and we got her services from an NGO. Well, let me just tell you, she chose services instead of going to jail. So we give them that option. If they're going to try to do better, change their mindset, we give them that option. So even though our job is to arrest everybody, we're not going to arrest everybody if you're willing to help yourself.
I got a question.
Yes.
How much of that is gang driven?
It's a lot. My 14-year-old, she's in a gang. I also have another 15-year-old in McMinn County. She goes between McMinn, Sequatchie, Bledsoe, those counties up there. It has a lot to do with it. There's gangs that reside in certain counties and they do business in other counties. It's almost like a dog. You don't where you lay. And so they travel elsewhere. So a lot of these smaller counties like Polk County, Marion County, they get a lot of business they get more business than what you think. You expect Hamilton County, Shelby County, Davidson County, Rutherford County, we expect them to have everything that's crime, really. But think about Polk County, Sequatchie, Bledsoe. We're talking about counties that have the mountains. When it's the mountains, you have more that family is involved in it. Family selling other families to get by. So, now I kind of went off. I'll just keep talking. I'm a talker. So if you got questions, let me know. But one thing about the legislator obtains. Who here remembers Blockbuster video? Yeah, pretty much everybody in this room. When you got that tape, you could do anything to that tape except for destroy it, right? And that's what obtains means. The Eighth Circuit Court of Appeal says that person who had that 14-year-old girl, who purchased that 14-year-old girl, you obtained her. And so that's yours. You could do anything with that child except for outside of violence. And they also said defense of ignorance. You cannot claim ignorance even though you knew or you did not know that person was 14. The state of Tennessee raised promoting prostitution to a minor from a Class A, B felony. So when we go out and do these human trafficking operations, and you are promoting prostitution, we get that pimp, we're going to charge you with a felony. What our unit does, we get on these commercial sex sites, we respond to these ads, we send an undercover in, wherever it may be, and then we bust into that room and we get whoever we get. We responded to a room the other day, and she said that her friend was in the bathroom. Immediately, everybody's ears popped up. We thought a guy was going to be in that room. Luckily, it wasn't, but it was another girlfriend, but we still got those two. I'm going to tell you, every app, every site, every game that you could communicate on is a site, app that you should be worried about when it comes to your children. If you could communicate on it, if you could talk to your cousin that lives in Texas, you should be worried about it. Some people stay off of TikTok or Facebook or whatever it is. Every app that's out there that you communicate, which is pretty much every one, you should have some concerns with it. And just like Rob said, pay very close attention to what your children are on. Now, Skip the Games Mega Personals, those are the sites that we are on. Those are the sites that the commercial sex sites, that is a $10 billion industry right there. Think about that. $10 billion industry. When we go in there and they advertise juveniles, it just takes a box, just a click to say, yes, I'm over 21. That's all it takes just for someone to get on that website. TikTok, LiveMe, Snapchat, I'm going to be honest with you, Snapchat, that's just the devil right there. Here's some other sites that Rob is more familiar than I am, but these sites right here, if you see any of these on your kid's phone, that's a no-go. I'm going to be honest with you, that's a no-go. And here are the sites that we are on. Now, these are some sites. These are the popular sites right now. There's other sites that's out there that we're not going to advertise because we don't want them to know that we're on there. But these sites right here, Skip the Games and USA Sex Guide, it's almost like the Twitter of that world. We took down a massage parlor a couple weeks ago in Rockwood. I don't know if it made the news down here, but we monitored that site. As soon as we took it down, they were on there talking about, well, the police were just here, the police did this, and the police did that. You can't go there no more. Unfortunately, Rockwood, it's a beautiful place. For some reason, there's massage parlors there that are not giving massages that want to congregate to Rockwood. And so we are starting to crack down on that. But my point is, USA Sex Guide is like the Twitter of that world. There's other sites out there that they talk on. We monitor those. But USA Sex Guide is one of the main ones. Skip the Games. It's also where they advertise commercial sex. In call, customer goes to the person. Out call, sex worker goes to the customer. Roses donation. Now, I will tell you, everything that we know, we got this information from the sex workers that we have dealt with over the past. So each time we help someone, arrest someone, they help us out because we're helping them out. And of course, humans can be ordered just like pizza. Buyers, Johns, come from different backgrounds. I will tell you, we did an op somewhere, and we got a CEO of an organization. When he walked in, I knew immediately who he was. I can't help him. Back page. Make it personal, commercial sex trade, skip the games. No one goes to Craigslist anymore, back page. Back page, you go there if you just want to be robbed. So, be honest with you. Don't go to Backpage. Back in 2004, 2018, they made over $500 million. 2024, what do you think they're making now? Well, Backpage is non-existent pretty much. But those sites right now are making over $10 billion. Think about that. The oldest profession in the world. Some risk factors. The people that we come across, self-esteem, poverty, sex abuse history, vulnerable groups, living in poverty, foster care. 85% of the children that we deal with are from DCS, unfortunately. DCS, they're better, I will tell you that. From a law enforcement standpoint, they're a whole lot better. I'm going to brag on them. They have a human trafficking investigator that goes out with us when we deal with juveniles. Whenever we go to the CAC and watch those videos, they're very good at their job. So we really appreciate them. Average age of a boy, 13 years old. Oh, 12, I'm sorry. Think about that. That's very young. Think about this. This is an actual case. 14-year-old girl might have a quota of 5 to 15 tricks call dates a night. She's rented for sex with 5 different men, 5 nights a week for 5 years. How many times do you think she's raped? Give me a number.
Majority of the time. Thousands. Every time. Every time. She's 14. Yeah.
6,000 times. You know, at TBI, we have those analysts that love to do these, figure up these numbers. That's what they came up with, 6,000 times. These victims are hesitant to speak, unaware of their location sometimes, poor hygiene. A 12-year-old can be able to speak of sexual anatomy. Now, if you have a 12-year-old that can tell you things about the body better than you can, or have that conversation and talk about it, that's a clue. That is definitely a clue. They're getting more information than just the internet. They're actually doing it. They're always seeking something. I'm sorry, we're attached to the phones. No discrimination in who's affected by human trafficking. Many adult victims we come in contact have a history of commercial sex industry and drug addiction. They fell victim to a trafficker. Now, when it comes to a trafficker, it could be a man or a woman. If you remember a case over in McMinn, that female, she had over 100. And I'm being nice on that number. Over 100. She started in the high school. Her kids went to the same high school. Here's some of the tattoos we come across. Now, if they are under an organization of a pimp, they will get branded. They will get a tattoo or some of the sorts, to the point where you got your brand like you see at Walmart. This one right here is going to be more of a bottom girl. and some of the traits that we come across that the girls that we are dealing with. One of the important questions that you can ask a person, we tell our healthcare, do you feel safe to leave? If you come across a person and they don't feel safe to leave, they don't feel safe to go to the bathroom by themselves, and that other person has to go with them, that's a clue. But here's some questions you can ask. They could be both men and women, the traffickers, like I told you. The girl in McMinn County. She was a big one. And she's not the only one out there that we're looking at. Now, there's something I didn't put up here. What's not up here? Church. I always want to see if someone's brave enough to say it. You don't know what someone does behind their closed doors. You don't know who you sit by. The people I come across, you would be surprised of the stature that they have in the community. You just don't know. Always be aware who you're around, who your kids are around, who they're talking to, who they're staying the night with. Always be aware. Now, I know not everyone in here does this, but I'm going to ask it, okay? How many times can you sell a bag of weed? Once. How many times can you sell a body? Over and over. Now, the hottest issue of the day is the border. Think about the border, those folks coming over, whether right or wrong. There's people there taking advantage of them. They're putting them over here and they're forcing them to either work somewhere, work in our restaurants, work in our hotels, work in our massage parlors. Who gets their nails done? Who gets their feet done? Think about that. And also the sex part. You can work them to death and pay them nothing. There's a couple of nail salons you might want to go ahead, hurry up and get your nails done because I'm about to hit them too. So I have a speech impediment if you haven't figured out. Sometimes I stutter, but I'll push it out. But labor trafficking, working the farms, working the dairies around here, working the meat plant. I'm from Nebraska. One of the towns that I'm close to is Gibbon, Nebraska. That's a meat plant. You drive on that highway, you smell the plant before you even get there. They had 13-year-olds in there cutting meat. I was like, come on, Nebraska, we got to do better than that. But they're putting them out there. Involuntary labor servitude. Cleaning your house, washing your dishes. And unfortunately, they're taking advantage of the mentally disabled. There are those in drug addiction, AA, just go there to exploit people. Working in our restaurants, working on our farms. These are some of the laws that, if you want to look those up. Here's some of the TCAs that we deal with. 3913-309 is my main one when it comes to human trafficking. That's the charge that we put on people when we come in contact with them. Now, in the state of Tennessee, if you know of any child abuse, you are required to report it regardless of who you are. Get that number right there. If you're out of the state of Tennessee, that Polaris number right there, the National Human Trafficking Hotline, that's the number you can call. If you're in Missouri, you can say, hey, I saw this at the gas station, I'm at Missouri. You call them, you give them the information, they'll send it to the right people. At TBI, here in the state of Tennessee, you call that number, it's going to be distributed out to whatever area it's going to be in. And we are required to respond to that referral, that complaint, and send a response back. The NGOs that we work with, we could not do this job without them. So whenever we have operations, they go out with us. So if we come across a victim, they're there with us, and they're there to help us out. If you come across a victim, and if you want to get them help, there's a number you can call right there. Of course, DCS, Willow Bend, that's right here in Bradley County. I'm going to show this video, then we're done.
A few months after my 17th birthday, I found myself trying to survive on the streets. This is my story. When I was a kid, I dreamed of being like prom queen or, I don't know, cheerleading captain, girly little things, you know. I just wanted to be loved. I wanted to be picked by the cute boy that you have a crush on. I just wanted to be special to somebody else. Trafficking victims, they can come from any walk of life. I don't care if they came from a really nurturing home with, like, you know, great mom and dad, real good support system. Any girl can be trafficked if she feels like she's got something missing on the inside. When I met my trafficker, he promised me that we were going to be taken care of, that I would always have food, I would always have a place to sleep, he was going to love me, I had a home, you know, we were a family. It made it all seem like a dream come true, you know. He wasn't loving, it wasn't what I thought it was going to be between him and me. He started beating me. He used to promise me I would never have to walk the track, and I started walking the track, I started going to truck stops. He told me what to wear, how to dress, how to do my hair. He had complete control over everything. It was pretty much just whatever he said I did.
I think every parent's nightmare is to find out that your child is missing. Through all of this, I found out about Backpage.com, which, you know, I wasn't familiar with, and that's actually what led me to finding her, was seeing her on her ad, and calling one of my friends who works with finding missing people. He was able to coordinate with the PD and ultimately, you know, do the initial bust.
My mom saw my Backpage ad. It was just mind-blowing. And I was like, my mom turned in my Backpage ad home. They were like, yeah, she took this off. My mom was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. She knew I would never leave that room. Looking back, it was the best thing that ever happened. Because I would still be down in those streets. And slavery came into my life when I was in a facility down here in Nashville. My therapist and I just had an instant bond, and I started telling her everything. And she was like, I'm going to introduce you to somebody. And then she came and met me. It was awesome. She was just so loving. She was just like, I've got a company, and you're going to love us, and we love you. And she did. At first, I used to really own the tattoo. I used to be like, I love this tattoo. And then I got into treatment, and I started realizing I was literally branded against my will, like a piece of property. I wasn't my own person anymore, I was his. Because it's very easy to be able to be like, I'm not dirty anymore. They're not a part of me anymore, until you realize they're literally a part of you across your neck. That's not something you can ignore. That's not something you can cover up easily. Sheila said, we can get that off of you. And then I went to my first session, and I remember just feeling so independent for the first time, like completely separated from him. And I remember feeling like so
excited because I was just like, I'm my own person now, you know, and it just makes it that much more real. It just goes right along with my healing process, you know, because it takes a long time, and so does getting a tattoo removed.
I can't say enough good things about in slavery. I mean, Taylor was working hard when she was in the facility, but once in slavery came into the picture, she formed that bond with somebody that was also a survivor that could say, you know what, you're still a human being, you're still important, and you know what, this is not your whole life story. The biggest part of it, I think, was, well, I know, was it helped her to cross that bridge from being a victim to being a survivor.
I know I talked fast for 30 minutes. I never taught a class for 30 minutes. Usually it's like 2 hours to 4 hours. But if I missed anything, don't hesitate to come up and talk to me, ask a question, and I'll do the best I can. But I'm, yes, sir.
Let me say something. I know some of you have to leave, but we're not gonna leave unless you want to. But if anybody Rob's gonna send me information. If you want to send me an email, Smith_Bubba@yahoo.com. That's Smith_Bubba@yahoo.com. Just send me an email, and I'll forward anything they send to me to you, okay?
Now, I do have pamphlets in human trafficking, labor trafficking over there. If you want to grab some, it kind of tells you what to do. Yes, sir.
Your associate said we can't arrest our way out of this problem. I'm assuming that means it's growing too fast, exponentially, I'm sure. Number one, is there an international component to this based on our enemies? We hear a lot about fentanyl labs.
Oh, definitely.
But the bottom line is, if we can't arrest our way out of this, what exactly can we do other than educate? Is there anything else we can do besides educate, arrest where we can? What can we do?
We are talking about the oldest profession in the world when it comes to prostitution, labor trafficking. Yeah, exactly.
We can't do it, but we can do something to try to protect these innocents. There seems to be more.
We just have to get very involved in our community, know who our neighbors are, who was sitting by at church. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Oh, man. I don't have a lot to say, except that it's obviously a serious problem and something that we are proud to have these guys working on every day of the week, for sure. And we appreciate their time. I know that we probably cut them short, but everybody's got to leave at some point. So I appreciate all their time, and I appreciate everybody that stayed, and we are adjourned.